Mold, it's everywhere. It is. I'm telling you, it is. Welcome back to Brashenomics. If that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. But there's mold in your house. Scot Appert is back with us. Scott, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, thanks. Good to be back.
Well, it's good to see you. Good to have you. I mean, you've inspected and provided consulting services for hundreds of homes. Really in this BioHealthy or biological inspections. Yeah. With BioHealthy Homes.
I focus more on the biological effect of your home on your person as compared to just a building inspection for structural.
Well, I know that you came to my house, and you told me some pretty interesting things about my house, and I had to move my cordless phone. Yeah. Because it was zapping my head.
Yes, it was.
Which people who know me are like, yeah, now it all makes sense. So Scott, let's talk a little bit about mold, because that's where I promised everybody that we would talk about mold. Okay. And so let's talk about mold.
Okay. Well, mold is everywhere, and it is definitely in your home.
Right now, it is in people's houses.
Yes, I guarantee that.
He guarantees it.
That's right. But mold, there's millions of species of mold everywhere. But it's, whether mold is growing and there's a problem is what we want to find out. Mold is, in gardens and in the outdoors. So a standard that we have is if mold is equal to or less than the outdoors in your home, then it's not a problem because, you open your windows, you open your doors. Spores are from anywhere very, very small, from like 2 to 20 microns, which...
How big is a micron?
1 micron is 10 millionth of a meter. So it's pretty small. Very small. Yeah. And anything less than 5 microns can actually go into your lungs because the human filtering system will filter anything out above 5 microns.
And so you say there's millions of types of mold. So some of them must be less dangerous than others if they're everywhere.
Yes, for sure. They're just naturally occurring. The ones that we're generally worried about are the ones from water damage. So in homes, anytime there's a water damage, moisture issue, high humidity, mold will start growing if the humidity or the water content of building materials is over 24 to 48 hours and stays wet. Mold will start growing after about 48 hours. So anytime you have a leak, whether it's dripping under your kitchen sink or whether it's coming in from the outdoors, a shower leak through the roof, anything like that, if building materials stay wet longer than 48 hours, then mold will start growing if you don't start drying it.
And so why is that a problem?
Well, mold can affect...
other than everybody hates mold. I mean, right off the bat, nobody likes mold. But why is it really a problem?
Well, it would actually deteriorate your house. I mean, it can lead to dry rot, it can lead to wet rot, and it can, basically deteriorate your house. But the most important part is it is a health hazard. Mold spores are allergenic, and then also some forms of mold create mycotoxins, which are actually toxic to the human body. So it can lead to allergies, and it can lead to actually disease.
So it's not just a 4-letter word. I mean, this can be bad stuff. Yeah.
And more, in modern medicine, they're realizing how much mold can directly affect your health.
Is that I feel like in a lot of home inspections that you see that aren't necessarily all, on the biological side and what it does to the human body, mold seems to come up. But I guess what you're saying is that it's not just about the building, it's about what it does to a person. And this seems to be a more common, I guess, theme, what people are more afraid of now than maybe what they were in the past.
Yeah, well, as modern medicine keeps growing and naturopathy and holistic type medicine keeps growing, they're learning more and more how mold can affect your health. And so it becomes more and more of a focus. Generally, if you're finding mold in a home inspection just on a normal building level, well, that shows that there's moisture there, and moisture is just always harmful to a building. So that's why normal building inspectors will look for mold or moisture, because it's a sign that there's something wrong with the building. And once we prove that, and we also know that then it can lead to the human side of it.
Now, people might be able to go look at their house, look at maybe exposed wood or something, and they maybe will see mold. What are some things that maybe they could look at if they were to walk outside their home today, or maybe look at something? How could they see visually mold? And then I imagine there's not lots that you can't see.
There's lots that you can't see. The visuals that you can look for, of course, anywhere there's plumbing, like under sinks, little drips, signs of staining, water staining, around showers, if you have tile showers, if there's grout that's popping out and loose tiles, that means moisture's behind them. Paint and on a wall board, if you see little bubbles in the tape or the paint. So those are all signs that there's moisture behind. And a lot of times, if it's a slow enough leak, that water can actually dissipate before it starts showing. And then, after a long time, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing evidence of it. Like especially in ceilings, maybe a little droop, or you'll start seeing screw holes or things like that. Things will start showing up.
So it sounds like you're more of looking for evidence of maybe water damage than really the actual visual of mold.
Yes, well, that generally can be, of course.
Or maybe water spots are mold, and I just think they're water. I don't know.
Not generally, but if you're looking for, if you see moisture or water damage, then most likely you're going to have mold issues. Now, there are, of course, with any relative humidity over 60%, will lead to mold growth. So if the inside of your home, and a lot of times people have mold growing on windowsills, and that's a common issue, especially with older windows that condensate, and stagnant air. Mold loves the stagnant air and humid conditions, and that's more of a surface mold. And if it's on a non-porous surface like windows, you could wipe it off and clean it. But if it's on porous surfaces like drywall and things like that, well, really the only way of getting rid of mold is to remove it. Because even if you do kill mold and you don't remove it, even non-viable or mold that won't grow again can actually be allergenic, and the mycotoxins are still present if you don't remove the mold itself.
So that kind of gets us into, the getting rid of mold. So let's say, for a visual here, you have mold underneath your sink or on any piece of exposed wood, I suppose. Right. What should you do? Is there like a spray that gets rid of it? Is there?
No, the first thing you should do, you don't want to spray mold, because that can actually get the spores airborne. You're actually creating a wind, and they're very light, so they're very easily airborne. What we'd want to do is use damp cloth with some type of a detergent and wipe it down. If it's on wood, you can sand surfaces of wood. If it's, becoming dry rot, where actually it's, then you just want to cut it out. But it depends on the surface, if it's in the framing or if it's in a cabinet. A lot of times if it's non-porous, you can just clean it, and you want to vacuum. You don't want to use a regular vacuum, because regular vacuums actually just blow dust throughout your house. So you'd either use only a HEPA vacuum to try to get settled spores.
Do people have those at their house?
Some people do.
Do they? I bet you do, Scott.
I do, actually. But
we're with Scot Appert, owner of BioHealthy Homes. So those are some great ways to get rid of mold. Of course, the first goal, I imagine, would be not to have it.
Yep.
So let's help us understand maybe a little bit of how to prevent mold in the first place, so you don't have to either A, cut it out of your wood, or B, go buy a HEPA vacuum. If you don't already
HEPA vacuums are a good idea anyway. But
okay.
As far as homes go, it's maintenance is your number one, whether it's interior or exterior. So painting, caulking, in showers, maintaining the caulk, so water doesn't get in behind around tubs, around water spilling over either showers or tubs. You want to make sure all your seams are watertight. So maintenance is very, big and most important, especially in the Northwest, where there's a lot of rain, there's a lot of humidity. It's very important just to stay on top of things and do visual checks. A lot of times under kitchen sinks, you keep, putting your detergents or your whatever in and out, and you keep banging on the plumbing, and at some point it just slips, and all of a sudden, and you don't even notice it till, 3 months later, you notice that smell, and you look down and it's been leaking for, quite a while. So then Then there's mold.
Then you put a bucket there, and then like 2 months later, you're like, maybe I should do something about it. We know the order of operations here, Scott.
Exactly.
It's the bucket before you go to the getting rid of the bottom of your anyways. Scott, we have to go to break in just a quick minute, but you also mentioned just caulking. And making sure that that's something that's pretty easy for people to do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's making sure water doesn't get where it's not supposed to in the first place.
Exactly, because most things are built with caulking. It's not the first line of defense. Proper building is, but anywhere in showers and tubs, exterior around windows, corners, and then visual inspections. Being just diligent as far as maintaining your home. Visual inspections will go a long ways to stopping those water intrusions. Roof leaks are huge too.
Yes, and it'll let you know where to put the bucket.
That's right.
Scott, thanks so much for joining us again. Scot Appert, owner of BioHealthy Homes. When we come back, hey, if you got big mold damage, you may need to fix your house a lot more than you may think. Well, we're going to talk to some guys who know pretty much everything there is to know about remodeling and even building a house. My name is Ben Brashen, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Brashenomics.